Yesterday went really well. Everything was running really good till this evening. Yesterday evening we had main tillage tractor, old Steiger, blew a hydraulic line, and then I got it off this morning. I just ran to Deere and had to make some new ones. But anyways, just leaving the John Deere dealership, got hoses, got oil, and we're gonna go fly. We're gonna fly up to the field, throw this together so I can get digger rolling again. And yeah, it was funny. When I rolled into Deere, there was 4 different guys from my local township there getting parts. Oh, the parts guy was just like, "What's going on in your township that we have so many of you in?" And the funny thing, 3 out of the 4 of us were all after hydraulic lines. So hopefully my township paid our dues, and yeah, from here on out it all goes smoothly. All part of the fun though, you know. But we're just driving up to the tractor now and going to put these lines on, dump some oil in, and get back to turning dirt black. All right, I just passed a vehicle I should not have passed, but my friend Ben's driving it, and he's afraid of breaking it, which I know he won't break it over this, but I told Ben if he was nice to me, I'd let him drive the Bronco out, pick up the Steiger. And so far he's been nice to me, and so far I let him drive that truck today. I just laugh because I always like seeing it in the field as we bounce across the field. 1:30 in the morning and coming to the end of a very long day. Earlier today when we were working on the Steiger, a couple things were going on, and it's one of those times when I got so busy working that I kind of forgot to record some of the things that were going on. The reason this is important because earlier in the day we had the elevator blow down fertilizer, and we had temps in the 80s and really nice sunshine. And what can actually happen is once the elevator blows down the fertilizer, you're actually on kind of a time clock, or the time clock's ticking. You got about anywhere from 24 to 72 hours to work it in, and then you can actually start getting nitrogen loss. And so it's kind of on a scale. The higher the temp, the faster it can kind of erode away, basically. We blew the hydraulic line about 5 o'clock at night the night prior, and overnight I'm not too worried. There's no sunlight, obviously, so you're not really worried about losing your fertilizer. But the next morning, Deere was open at 10. I was there right at 10 and got new hoses made up and got them put in, and we put a whole bunch of hydraulic oil in, and we actually got back up and running about 11:30, 12. And so everything went really well. This spring in general has gone really well. We've had some minor breakdowns here and there, but for the most part, we're sitting about halfway done with corn and about halfway done with soybeans. And so we're sitting in a really good spot. Even though we had some breakdowns with the planter early on and had to go back to Deere, we've been playing catch up in a very big way, and everything's going pretty decent. You leaving the field yesterday. So actually, after we got the hydraulic lines in and the hydraulic oil in, and I got Ben going, and I'm watching him go across the field, and it's just a great feeling. Like, yes, all right, it's no longer leaking oil. Adam was there with his new 12 valve. I was there with this old Ford Bronco, and I was a little embarrassed when I seen it go across the field really slow. And in my head, I was like, I know there's a whole lot more throttle there, because I built the top end of this motor and I kind of know what it can do. And so when we were leaving the field, I was kind of wondering in my head, wonder if I can do 40 across the field. I'm here to tell you, you can. Oh, and it sounds pretty good. All right, so I'm going across the field. I get on the road, and I get about a quarter of a mile down the road, and then I hear it. And I hear the womp, 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 and I'm like, oh, you gotta be kidding me. There's no way. And sure enough, I look behind me and I can see it, and it's like, oh no. And that leads to the most devastating repair yet this spring. Luckily, it is not on a piece of ag equipment. It's not on a tractor, it's not on a planter, it's not on anything. It's on this old Bronco. I turn my head and I look down, and here I can tell I blew a rear left-hand tire out. Most people, this wouldn't matter. To most farmers, this would not matter, but I can tell you, at 9 o'clock this morning, I was on the phone with the tire guy talking about tire size, tread patterns, prices, what's available, etc. We got it narrowed down to about 4 options, so I haven't made my mind up. Well, I was out planting corn today, and everything was going really, really well. And like I said, we've been playing catch up in a big way, and everything's going fantastic. And my phone starts pinging. A lot of families have the big family group text. Usually, a lot of times, it's my sisters going back and forth, talking about kid stuff and different life stuff. And downside is, a lot of times I don't have anything to text back. I'm a single farmer. There's not a lot going on in my life that relates to other people. A lot going in my life that relates to me. Not necessarily a lot of things that other people find interesting. Well, today I had it. In the middle of the text, I put in there, air problems, Bronco needs new tires, and I listed all 4 tires. I kind of let my family members give feedback on what they liked, what they didn't like, and give me their opinion on what direction and tires should we go. As the text stream kind of rolled on, it was kind of funny because it actually brought up some memories. Surprised, Diana even brought it up. I've owned this truck since 2000, and there is a lot of stories behind it. My sister Diana, of all people, she ditched it, and then I couldn't let that go. I had to outdo her. I actually ditched this truck when I was in high school with my mom in the passenger seat, and when I mean ditched it, I ditched it in a guy's front yard, and he was having a barbecue. Yeah, let's just say we did not stick around to meet that neighbor. And I had a lot of explaining to do to my mom. Well, believe it or not, in the text stream today, that actually came up. And it was kind of fun. All right, so here's where we're sitting. We got 4 options right now that are readily available. First is our Mastercraft Courser MXT. Now, the Mastercraft, I lean a little this direction. We've had a lot of Mastercrafts on trucks, on service trucks. They've held up great. To me, brand name doesn't matter as much as quality and will they hold up. Getting back to the Mastercraft Coursers, we've had them on other trucks. The all-terrain pattern, they've held up really good. To me, having them on heavy service trucks, the sidewalls have held up great, and so I have no problem going with the Mastercrafts. The next one is the Falken Wild Peak. Now this one this was probably gonna be my number 1 choice. I like the tread pattern. I like that it wasn't too wild or too open of a grip. That's my one concern living on gravel roads. What happens is when you're driving, you throw a lot of rocks and you basically like sandblast all of your inner wheel wells. The third one is the Thunderer Track Grip. Now, I've never heard of this brand. It's completely out of China. I've had a lot of luck with very cheap Chinese tires. What you just wonder is rubber compound. I've had it where sometimes the tires are too cheap and then the compound doesn't hold up and they wear down really fast. A lot of this is more relating to truck tires, semi tires versus pickup tires. That's sometimes what I'm wondering when it's too cheap. Okay, the final one, and this one I know some guys have had this. It's our Hankook Dynapro MT2. Cool looking tread pattern, like it. Again, going back to sidewalls. Hankook's been around forever. Yeah. When I broke this down into the family group text, the number 1 Mastercrafts were voted 2 out of the 4. Dawn actually chose the Falcons, which the number 2 option, which I kind of lean. My dad, he was leaning more towards the Hankooks, and I'm all across the board. Trust me, when you're a single farmer, this is a very big decision. Like, what tires do you put on your truck? I'm not one to rush into anything. I don't really like commitment. So like, this is why I'm still contemplating, like, what tread pattern do I go with? Well, believe me, when I'm out planting corn, this is something I'm actually thinking about quite a bit. I know I shouldn't be. There's farmers out there that are disappointed in me, but believe me, I'm watching the monitors, everything's planting great, and I'm sitting there going, what tire do I put on the Bronco? Ultimately, the goal is before the weekend, finish planting corn, finish planting beans, and then put new tires on Bronco. That's the goal. And we're gonna see if we get there. But right now, in this single farmer's mind, that is the ultimate goal. But before the weekend, we're gonna have 4 new tires in this shop for this old Ford. Makes perfect sense.